Good morning and shalom from the Wonder of Torah. Today we're going to look at the desire of Yahuah. I find that when I look at Facebook and YouTube, there are many people talking about faith and belief, defending their stance or their position in their faith. But what is striking is to see how many people, their faith is not about the Father, but their faith is about them. It has to fit in with their lifestyle. What Yahushua came to do is set them free from Torah or from the law, which is not the case at all. Yahushua came to set us free from the bondage of sin, so that we can live a life free from sin. In that way, our relationship with Yahuah has then been re-established the way He wants it to be, because He can then live within me, who is clean and pure before Yahuah. That is His desire. His desire is certainly not that man can continue living a sin-filled life, and then they believe that Yahushua lives within them. Yahushua or Yahuah cannot share or dwell with evil. So let us have a look at Yahuah's desire. We're going to start off reading from Deuteronomy 5:29. You will see on the screen that I've been very colorful and artistic with circles or colors to help you look at certain words within the verse, to find the meaning of it. So when we start with, "Oh, that they had such a heart in them to fear me and to guard all my commands always, so that it might be well with them and with their children." Now this is a verse filled with knowledge and messages. Firstly, Yahuah's desire is that man would have such a heart in them to fear Him. When we fear Yahuah, we respect Him, we are in awe of Him, and we will do anything in our power to please Him. If we fear Him, he says, to guard, that is to obey, all my commands, always. Not some of them that man chooses to obey. No, guard all my commands, always. And if we fear Him and guard all His commands always, we receive the promise. How wonderful is this? He says that it will be well with us and our children. That is Father's desire. Our obedience to Him, then that will result that we will be safe and in peace. His desire. That is His relationship that He wants with His people. Let's look at the next verse, or the next passage. Yahuah is giving us a wonderful thing. He's given us free will. The freedom to choose whether we want to serve Him or not. If He really wanted to, He could have created a whole bunch of robots looking like people and animals, and the only thing they would do is serve Him. He could have done that, but no. His desire is that we will choose Him. Let's look at Philippians 2. We start from verse 12. "So that, my beloved, as you always obeyed, not only in my presence, but now much rather in my absence," listen to the following, "work out your own deliverance with fear and trembling." That is what we have. We must work out our own deliverance. We must make that choice. Then we continue. We go on to verse 13. see why we are created. For it is Elohim. Now, if you think what we just read, that if we obey him, we move on to the next. And it's this. For it is Elohim who is working in you both to desire and to work for his good pleasure. Can you see? If we obey his commands and obey his word, and we chose to serve him, he will do a working in us, that we will desire him and to work for him. And that is his pleasure. That is his desire. Let us move on to the next verse. 14, 15 and 16. Now, Abba's giving it a bit more specific, what he expects of us. He says, do all matters, take note, all matters, without grumbling and disputing, or grumblings and disputings, in order that you be blameless and faultless, children of Elohim, without blemish. Can you see that? That is where he wants us to be. Because if we live like that, he will live in us. That we must be blameless, faultless, without blemish. And this, while we still amongst the worldly people, saying, in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation, among whom you shine as lights in the world. We live in this dark world. We must be different. We must be set apart to him. We must live according to his Torah and shining his light. And we do this, if we look at verse 16, by holding on to the word of life. For I boast to me in the day of Messiah that I have not run in vain or labored in vain. Holding on to the word of life. If you read the Gospel of John, the first chapter, the first 3 verses, you'll see that Yahuah is the word. If we guard his word, obey his word, he will live in us. Wonderful. Right, we move on to the next one. If I can get this page turned. Right. This is a beautiful passage. And Abba makes it very clear how he feels, how he wants us to be. We look at Colossians 1, verse 9 and 10. That is also why we, from the day we heard, have not ceased praying for you and asking that you, listen carefully, be filled with the knowledge of his desire in all wisdom and spiritual understanding. Filled with the knowledge of the desire of Yahuah in all wisdom and spiritual understanding. If we have got that, then, verse 10, to walk worthily of the Master, pleasing all, bearing fruit in every good work, and, listen, increasing in the knowledge of Elohim. It is a continuous thing that we will learn and expand our knowledge, learn. We will never know everything about Yahuah because he's endless, he's limitless. So his desire is that we'll be filled with the knowledge of his desire, which is to walk worthily, increasing in the knowledge of his desire. The next one, Romans 2 verse 18. Again, what is Yahuah's desire? Let's hear. And now the desire of Elohim, and to prove what is superior, being instructed out of the Torah. That is where we learn. His word. That is what we follow. We move on to the next one. Ephesians 5 verse 15 to 17. See then that you walk exactly, very specific, not as the unwise, the worldly people, but as the wise, redeeming the time because the days are wicked. We know that. We live in it. So then, do not be foolish, but understand what the desire of Yahuah is. If you don't understand Yahuah, you don't know him. You don't obey him. Let's move on to the next one. We read from Hebrews 10, verse 36. For you have need of endurance. Abba never said that this was going to be an easy walk. And that's why we need endurance. So that when you have done the desire of Elohim, then you receive the promise. This is a conditional relationship. We can't do what we want and think we will be saved. No, we obey, we study His word, we grow in His knowledge, we bear fruit, then we receive the promise. Right, the next one. This spells out something very clearly. Many people that I've spoken to before say they know Yahuah. And then in their Christian walk, they disobey the law or His Torah. Let's listen to what Abba says. He says, 1 John 2 from verse 3. And by this we know that we know Him, if we guard His commands. The only way to know Him is by knowledge of His word and guarding His commands. Verse 4. The one who says, I know Him, and does not guard His commands, is a liar, and the truth is not in him. This is Abba's words. Don't get upset with me. He says, if you obey my commands, you know me. If you say you know me, but you don't obey my commands, you're a liar. And the truth is not in you. Verse 5. But whoever guards his word, truly the love of Elohim has been perfected in him. Wonderful. By this we know that we are in him. The one who says he stays in him ought himself also to walk even as he walked. Follow the example of Yahushua. Did Yahushua guard the Torah, the commands? Yes, he did. And then finally, we're looking at the next one and last one passage. Do you love Yahuah? Do you love Yahushua? This is the final thing that Yahuah desires, that we love Him with all our heart, being, and soul. And that we love our neighbor as ourselves. Johannes, or Yohanan 14:15. If you love me, you shall guard my commands. Thank you for your time. Shalom. Till next time.